You want to improve your relationship? There are 5 things that you should never say to your spouse. My editor tells me that you should never use the word never, and you should always avoid the word always. And I still use them occasionally, but this is the top of the list for me. When we use the word never, or when we use the word always, those 2 words, just think about that. It triggers something psychologically. If I were to say to you, you never, whatever, or if I were to say to you, you always, the reason that triggers something psychologically is because it's never true. It's always inaccurate. I know I'm using those words, but I'm just kind of playing with you with that. Honestly, is there anything that you always do? Is there anything that you never do? So if your spouse says those words to you, you're immediately on the defensive. And you can put your spouse on the defensive by accusing him or her that he or she always does this or never does that. That's the top one on the list. Number 2, apathy. You're not going to say apathy, but what are you saying that conveys apathy? I don't care. Whatever. You're sounding like a teenager right about now. Do you really think this is going to work with your spouse? Sometimes we say those things when we get a little tipped over, when we get a little agitated about something that's happening. To say that to your spouse communicates apathy. And that's one of the most detrimental things to a relationship. So let's just take it out of the vocabulary right now. I don't care and whatever, which is kind of the same thing as I don't care. Number 3 on this list of things that you should never say to your spouse is actually a category of things that you should never say to your spouse. And the category is the victim blaming mode. It usually shows up with saying something like, this is all your fault. Because of you. Do you see how blaming that is? When we blame, we invite defensiveness. And defensiveness validates accusation. So it's this nasty cycle that as you blame your spouse gets defensive, you're more likely to blame them again for the same thing. Because it feels like their defensiveness validates the accusation. Let's get out of that victim blaming mode and stay away from any phrase that sounds like, this is your fault. While I'm on that, do you remember I said this is a category of thinking? Blaming yourself is still victim mode. And I don't think you should say to your spouse, oh, fine, it's all my fault. Or anything along those lines. Blame, whether it's blame of your spouse or it's blaming yourself, is going to run us into the same problem. And notice how it's just kind of a stalemate. Once you blame someone, we're out of negotiation mode. They get defensive, you're on the attack. It's not going anywhere, at least not anywhere productive. Number 4 on this list of 5 things you should never say to your spouse is nothing. It's nothing. What if you were to say nothing? That's the silent treatment. And it's hostile. It's kind of a passive-aggressive sort of hostile, but not saying anything communicates very clearly that you are not aligned with them, that you are not on their team. So saying nothing is kind of like eating nothing. What would happen if you ate nothing? Well, you would die eventually. So that's why nothing made the list. Something you should never say to your spouse. And finally, on this short list of 5 things, anything that suggests divorce. I know that this topic comes up sometimes, but the reason that it does is because of the way that we talk. I'm done. All right, now you didn't say anything about divorce, but people use this sometimes out of frustration. Oh, I'm done. That sometimes is received as a message that you are done with them. You are done with the relationship. And even if you feel that, not a good idea to say it, especially in the heat of the moment, because that introduces now a different dynamic. It is easier to commit 100% to a relationship than it is to commit every day or not. What I mean is, as long as we're playing with an idea of maybe I'll stay in, maybe I won't, we exhaust ourselves trying to make that decision every day. What if you were just to commit and be done with it? I have to share a little example with you about an experience I'm having with an exercise group. I play basketball 3 times a week, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 6 a.m. I've been doing this for 23, 24 years now. And we always play. Somebody showed up not too long ago to this group and thought it would be a good idea the night before to check in with everyone and see if they wanted to play. This didn't make sense to me because I was already committed to play every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday without fail. Well, as he started sending text messages, kind of taking roll the night before, people started to wait for that. And they started to think, oh, do I want to? Do I not want to? And people stopped coming. So sometimes I show up and I'm all by myself. And other times, everybody responded to the roll call and 10 or 12 people show up. It must be exhausting to maintain that text string every other day during the week. And maybe that's a silly example, but I saw very directly the impact of wavering in your commitment. Are you in or not? And if you're in, just be in. Do not say anything that would suggest otherwise, like, I'm done, or I just can't be married to you anymore, or I can't go on like this, which, incidentally, is a lie. Yes, you can. I had one of my clients say, I can't go on living like this. I'm like, what do you mean? Well, I can't go on living with my husband who's doing this and he's doing that. And she gave me the laundry list. And I said, you're lying. She almost fired me in that moment. But she was lying. She said, I can't go on like this. She's been living this way for 20 years. Can she go on like this? Yes, she can. I'm not suggesting that she should or that things couldn't change. In fact, I'm a big fan of improving and saving these key relationships. What I'm saying is that our language matters. And if you say anything that suggests that you're out, you just created a dynamic that you're going to have to deal with continually. Take it out of your vocabulary. I know this can get tricky from time to time. I hope you find these videos helpful. If you'd like some individual coaching, we offer that as well. liveonpurpose.coach is where you will find a group of highly effective, certified Live on Purpose coaches who could help you with this. Click on over to liveonpurpose.coach.